Welcome, fellow adventurers. We're at Ayers Rock. This ginormous monolith is in the middle of Australia. It is also known as Uluru Rock, called that by the aboriginal people that lived there. It was over a 3-hour flight from Sydney to Ayers Rock Airport, and we visited the Uluru Kata National Park. Our first activity was to go to the Field of Lights at sunset. Bruce Munro is the artist that created 50,000 lights in this field the size of 7 football fields. And Ayers Rock is the backdrop. The artwork is also made up of over 300,000 individual components. And if you had laid all of this out linearly, it would be a distance from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. It took us about a half an hour to 45 minutes to walk through this artwork, and we were quite amazed. The next morning, we got up because we wanted to do the sunrise of Uluru Rock. I am going to refer to Ayers Rock, which was named by the Australians as Uluru, because that is the name of the Aboriginals and the indigenous people that have lived in this area for over 10,000 years. There are 360 Aboriginal tribes throughout Australia and 360 languages. I was so surprised to hear about that, since I always expected one language. The next day, we got up very early to see the sunrise at Uluru Rock. We had to enter the Uluru Kata National Park, which, by the way, is another UNESCO World Heritage Site, in order to see the sunrise. The Aboriginal people, the Anagu tribe, is the traditional owner of Uluru. In fact, the Australian government is leasing this land from the Anagu tribe, which is the indigenous peoples of this area. Some fun facts about Uluru is that it is 1,141 feet high. It is 2,831 feet around the ground of the rock, 1.2 miles wide, 2.2 miles long, and 5.8 miles around the base to walk. They say that the rock is 1.5 miles under the ground, but it has not been 100% confirmed. And it takes 3.5 hours to walk around the rock, better known as a monolith. In fact, Uluru is not the largest monolith in the world. In fact, Mount Augustus in Western Australia holds that title. As we went out for the sunrise, there are multiple changes of colors in the rock, from the dawn until the sun rose in the sky. Larry's was able to get many awesome pictures. Our next stop was Kata, or also known as Ulgas. Kata was a major monolithic rock near Uluru that I had known nothing about. Kata translates into many heads. This rock was about a 20-minute drive from Uluru, and it is a monolith very similar to Uluru. And it is different because there are what they call 26 heads to this rock. It was originally similar to Uluru, but it has gone through so much erosion and weathering from the elements. And as a result, it kind of looks like 26 enormous boulders. Kata is sacred to the Aboriginals, but only for the males. In fact, this rock is totally off limits to the women. We got out of the bus and walked about a mile into the valley of one of these heads. And as you get up close, you can not only see the erosion and the weathering, You can also see long black lines coming down from the top, and Kata Tjuta have trees and plants on top of these rocks that you cannot see from the ground. When you get up close, you can see many black lines and divots in the rocks from the rain coming down. The black comes from oxidized iron ore in the rock. The Aboriginals believe that these rocks were created by their ancestral spirits, and they are very, very sacred, not only to the local tribe, the Anangu, but also to other Aboriginal tribes throughout Australia. The Anangu also still perform rituals in the caves of both of these rocks, and they make rock paintings. I have taken a picture of several of the paintings in the area where tourists were able to go, where you could take a look. In that same area, there was also a little pond of water that had collected, but they had not had much rain this year, so the water level is very low this year. One of the disappointing things about going to Uluru Rock and Kata Tjuta was that I found out that the local tribe, the Anangu, did not fraternize much with the people that lived in the area. In fact, one of our guides had been in Uluru Rock area for over 33 years, and there is very little contact with this tribe. Now, I'm not judging them. I certainly understand what they have gone through with the white man in the past, but I was so impressed by the Aboriginal guide that we had in the Blue Mountains near Sydney that I was really hoping to find out a lot of the spiritual and other practices of the Aboriginals once we went to Uluru Rock. During our time there, we did 4 tours, and they told the same 3 stories from the Aboriginal people. I did ask why only 3 stories or if there was more, but they said for the most part a lot of these stories are sacred and they do not tell a lot of their folklore and stories to outsiders from the tribe. We also had the opportunity to do Uluru at sunset and again watch all the colors. There was some food, some drink as we watched the sun go down. If you look closely, you can see all kinds of different colors with the different pictures we took. The colors of the rock, the colors of the sky, etc. The next day, we only had a few hours before we were to go to the airport, so we couldn't spend the time walking around Uluru Rock, so we ended up taking a Segway tour. Now, I had never been on a Segway before, and they had a little training area to learn how to drive them. They are quite easy to use once you get the knack. And we headed off going around Uluru Rock. As a result, I was able to get a little closer to the rock and show you some of the formations. In fact, there was one formation that looked like the brain or the skull of a person. And they do have a story in their folklore all about this brain on the rock, as well as many of the other caves, outcroppings, and divots in the rock. The Aboriginal people have been burning the grasslands for thousands of years to control and manage their lands. In the state park, the rangers felt they knew better than the Aboriginal people that had been here for years, and what ended up happening is there was a huge fire one year that wiped out over 75% of the foliage in the park. I think in the future, they're going to start listening a little bit more to the Aboriginal people. There is one particular tree, the desert oak, that has some large seeds that do not germinate unless they are burnt. So burning the area is really important to these trees. There was another part of the rock that looks like one gigantic smile. I took a picture of Larry with it. I called that the Mick Jagger Rock. There was also an area that is forbidden for the tourists to go into, but one of the little girls was sitting on the Uluru Rock, and she was part of the Anangu tribe. Once we finished, we had to hurry up and pack and get to the airport because we were on our way to New Zealand. In closing, my wish for you is that you will love abundantly, protect your health, and be adventurous for life. You are beautiful. Let your light shine. Aloha.